Good evening, beautiful people. I decided, since I had another night to myself with relative privacy and peace and quiet, that I would have a quick chat about something that I learnt about on Sunday, namely this that I mentioned in my last vlog, the local government reform. Because if I don't mention it soon, what will happen with my brain is it will become less important to do. It'll end up in a pile of paper and it'll take that much longer. So while it's only 2 days in my mind, let's crack on with it. And I've just had my dinner. Let's see if we can get it done in 15 minutes, all right? What I learned in 2 hours, I'll try and pass on to you in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So the central government, this is what I've learned, okay? Everything I'm going to say to you, I'm going to put it into my words. Central government they task all the local councils with taking care of the infrastructure of their towns, their parks, their harbours, their coasts, their riverways, their water rates, the buses, the sewerage, the roads. But each area has a different way of doing that, of delivering that. Now, once upon a time, I was illuminated to this last year. Once upon a time, all the borough councils that we used to have, all were responsible for their immediate area. And then they made it into larger councils. And when I was living in West Auckland, it was Waitakere City, Manukau City. We all had all these different districts. And then in 2007, the government at the time forced the region of Auckland to become one big super city. So instead of each one of them having their own different character and their own way that they did things, they amalgamated it. And it was, as they always say, central government always says, to save money. They say that councils are wasteful, there's too many tiers, there's too much bureaucracy. And what I've learned is there might be some truth in that for some councils, but I believe that there are some amazing councils and councillors out there, hopefully as many as the terrible ones that you come across, that really do take their job seriously and try to work with integrity and honesty. So this new simplifying local government reform that's been brought out by central government is to force all of the districts that we have, right across from the top of the Northland right down to the bottom, to amalgamate. They have to amalgamate and make their catchment area bigger. So it's really just redefining boundaries, right? And so at the moment we have the Waikato, we have King Country, we have Hauraki, we have Piako, Matamata, Franklin. We have all these different areas, and they have to amalgamate and reduce themselves even smaller. I think the government want to half the amount of councils that they are. Now, this is what has to happen. The central government gave local government 3 months to get this done. 3 months to get it done. And if they don't, on the deadline, which is the 9th of August, if these districts haven't made an agreement or a pact with one another, because now there's a lot of wheeling and dealing. Now there's a lot of to and froing as to who do I want to be aligned with. And on Sunday, what I learned is Piako and Matamata, they already want to be aligned with Hauraki, Coromandel area. They've already made that clear. So they're not in the running for the Waikato or for Franklin or for King Country. But these other districts, we have to try and struggle to basically get married to one another. And you have to think carefully, the councils have to think carefully about who they get into bed with, because who's got debt? I just found out that Hamilton City Council are $1 million in debt. So whoever takes Hamilton City Council on, well, they're going to take that on. And each area has debt that falls onto the ratepayers as rates. And different areas different ratepayers will owe a certain amount of money towards their rates to pay for these debts. And that's not a bad thing if you consider that you need good roading, you need good buses, you need sewerage, you need drainage, you need your parks upkept. You need your bus stops cleaned, you need the graffiti sorted out. So you do need all of those things, absolutely. But then it becomes a little bit of a, I don't know, people complain about it. They say they really don't get enough for their rates and what they pay. But this is what I've actually learned from this Hui on Sunday, that they're tasked with all of these things, these multiple things to do, and central government really aren't that helpful. And at the end of the day, it's part of their responsibility. And when things go wrong in certain regions, the central government really don't want to come in and help out. They will, but they should be helping out before we even get to the point where we have some kind of calamity, because the coastal region isn't being planted and it's eroding, or now the riverways, something happened to that, or God forbid we've had flooding or something like that. And so this is just yet again another new idea that the government of the day has come up with to shake things up. And the fact that they've only been given 3 months, so all these councils, they're not being given enough time to actually talk to the community boards and those smaller but important community groups of people to get the people's point of view. And the people want to know. And in Raglan, and I was so proud on Sunday, there were about 60 people there on Sunday. I was so proud. Raglan is that town, and I love that about this little place. Everybody cares. Most people care. And there were a lot of older people, my generation and older. There were a few younger people, of course, maybe by about 10 years, but I just loved that anyway. It doesn't matter the demographics of who was there and how they were. The fact that they were there was huge. And I was there because I'd seen this pamphlet. I'd seen this flyer inside the radio station on the desk on the Saturday when I went through to go to the town hall, and it piqued my curiosity. And Penny Hulse was going to be there, and Askell Bouch was going to be there, and Noel, I forget his last name, he's an older man who's been on the community board, was going to be there, and there was Q&A and there was discussion. And pretty much the people on the stage, Askell, he is the mayor of the Waikato District Council, and Penny Hulse, well, she was a politician in my era when I lived in West Auckland. Like, I grew up in central Auckland, but for the last 12 years of my life, I lived out west, and so I had a vested interest. And she was part of the movement to stop Auckland becoming a super city. We were unsuccessful. Nobody in Auckland wanted that to happen at all. Well, nobody that I was discussing it with in West Auckland. Everybody liked the way that their own council functioned. Anyway, by the by, because it became an Auckland super city. And what I found out on Sunday from the kōrero and the keynote speakers was central government forced Auckland into doing that in 2007, into becoming a super city. They gave them $94 million to do it, because you've got to restructure. And there's so much upheaval, and taking that many councils and becoming an Auckland super city and centralising everything and having the legislation or the rules and the regulations in place for your building, for your parks, all that kind of thing. There's a lot. So anyway, the central government, bless them, gave Auckland City $94 million to do that. They forced that on Auckland, and then they forced Auckland to have to pay that money back in 12 months. So that's when I learned that often, not always, but often the debt, which is your rates, is because the central government should be actually handing out a little bit more money, but if anything, they're costing the locals even more. And this shake-up to me just seems to be a little bit more of the same. So anyway, this is what I've learned, because let me conclude. So, the Government Simplifying Local Government Reform Program aims to build a simpler, more efficient local government system, reducing the number of councils across New Zealand through the creation of unitary authorities. Unitary authorities, interesting word. So there will no longer be a Waikato District Council, Waikato Regional Council, which is bigger, and a Hamilton City Council. All these councils all have to merge into something. So every single area, if there's an example of what I just said to you, how on this one space of chunk of land down in the Waikato, there are 3 different kinds of councils. However that system works around the country, they are all now going to have to amalgamate into 2, possibly 3 umbrella terms. And they have to cover, and so these are the different catchment areas. It's really interesting. Like, I got a lot of information out of it. Here we go. And it's normally to do with the catchment and the waterways. They've even had consultation with iwi, because obviously you have to. And the beautiful thing about the 4 iwi that are part of the Waikato have all unanimously said that the Waikato River must be treated as an absolute whole. It is an entity on its own. And that prevents different councils at different points of the Waikato River not living up to the expectation of how that's supposed to be maintained. Like one area, say the flood banks need to be 1.5 metres. Well, further on down the track, the council there might be a little bit slack with numbers, and they might just be a 1 metre flooding bank. So, you know, the iwi want the whole river treated with the utmost respect as one entity, and I thought that was a beautiful idea. I was like, hell yeah, that makes so much sense. So, you know, I've learned that if this government of the day brings anything out, you have to look at it a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And so to me, to my mind, I can see that the government is selling it to them as it's stopping bureaucracy and it's stopping this and it's stopping that. But why are they only giving the councils 3 months and no opportunity for feedback from the communities that these councils serve? And I'm just really skeptical when this government of the day tries to push things through with urgency. I think we've all seen that. You can't take your foot off the pedal with this government of the day. And I don't want to just start mentioning names. And this is definitely not a political channel, but it was just really interesting to me. So where are my notes? Do I have any notes? So, like, there are different ways that they are talking about doing it. How do they incorporate these areas, right, into 2 or 3 catchment areas? Do they do the major cities there? That's one option. That has Morrinsville. It goes to Whara, it encompasses Hamilton City, it goes to Cambridge, and up to, I've got my specs on, but it's a bit dark. Not to, where's that? Oh, Ngaruahia. So there are all these different scenarios. And then also each council, right, when they get into bed with each other, when they make handshakes and deals and they promise, okay, we'll be bestie friends, okay, because this is what central government wants, so we're going to make a little unit here. They have to come up with all these new plans and solutions as to how now all of these infrastructures and nuts and bolts of how our regions are looked after, they have to come up with a new plan. They've only just got together and they have to come up with a new plan, and they've got 7 weeks left to do it. And if they don't come up with a plan and hand it over to the government by the 9th of August, that's the deadline that the government have given them, the 9th of August. If they don't come up with a deal and a plan for the government will actually put that area together. Whoever doesn't submit something, the people in charge of our councils at the moment. So there's a lot of toing and froing, a lot of conversation. It's all become so very urgent. And I'm pretty impressed that they're 5 weeks into it, and we had a hui at the Raglan Town Hall so that we could understand what's going to happen, because it's going to really, really shake things up. And this is the first paragraph of another handout from the Waikato District Council. So this is it. we'll wrap it up with this. I did take a lot of notes, but they probably would, I think I've mentioned the most important things, you know, and let me just tell you, I mean, I guess for me, I don't think about things like this, but I know from my partner who's had a lot to do with council buildings and grounds and parks and stuff, but, you know, the councils all take care of our libraries, our parks, our council buildings, harbour master, reserves. There's a lot of things that need to be taken care of. You know, then WDC, they do the local roads, the water, the rubbish, the parks, the library. Consents are a big one for a council. When people want to build something, they've got to put in a consent. So all of these consents, and everything has to be rewritten. Everything that the government wants from these councils has to be rewritten. And then the Waikato Regional Council, they are taking care of management, public transport, flood protection, that type of thing. So there are all these areas. There's Taupo, Matamata Piako, Hamilton, Hauraki, Otorahonga, I forgot about that, Thames, Coromandel, Rotorua. So there are all these councils. And so this is what has to happen. This is what the government wants local government to do. All before an election. It just seems like such a waste of time and effort, but you know, there's always a reason for it with the government, mate. They're wanting us to look the other way, or they're trying to make something else and someone else's life harder, you know, because then when you divide and conquer, you've got everybody. So anyway, this is it. The government is changing how councils are organised across New Zealand. Most parts of the country have two councils: a regional council that looks after environmental management, public transport and planning, and a territorial authority, a district or a city council that looks after roads, water, rubbish, libraries and parks. Government's Simplifying Local Government program aims to reduce duplication and cost, for example, by combining two or more territorial authorities together with regional council functions into a single unitary council that covers all those combined jobs. The Head Start pathway is a voluntary, faster option that lets councils that are ready to put forward an initial proposal to government. Are they ready? Will they be ready by the 9th? Well, I'm hoping that our one will be, because that's why they were there having a hui on Sunday letting us know what was going down. Reform of local government is happening. So regardless is what the central government is going to go ahead with. These conversations are about helping shape what it looks like for our district. No decisions have been made, and no decisions will be made until March next year. So the councils have got to get this in by the 9th of August. Like I said, they got given 3 months, and then the government is going to look at it and let them get back to them in March. And there's elections. There's elections in October. I mean, that's just some crazy ass stuff, don't you think? So it's, you know, it's mentioned to look good and look tempting, but there's a lot of stuff that's got to be sorted before you can. I mean, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the Waikato, you know, and it just seems to me like not a very good idea. But I mean, as I say, I turned up with no skin in the game. I just wanted to go along and I wanted to learn a little bit more about what all this meant. Like I said, the whole borough council thing when I was younger, I didn't understand any of that. I'm trying to navigate my way through so many things. Local politics is just one of them, and technology. So anyway, I hope you understand that. I'm going to finish this up, wrap this up. Look at that, 19 minutes. Well done me. And that is, so thank you for listening, people. That is, and it really, and it does affect us. And can I just give a little plug, please, for Paul, the other one. Paul as in Paul. Paul, the other one. He does some phenomenal stuff on the political arena at the moment, and it's changing and it's shifting every few days or every week, because people are coming out with this and they're promising that, or they're doing stuff like this, you know. We've had the fisheries bill, we've just had so much. So anyway, I just want to recommend that you pop over there, because he can give it to you. I watched one the other day and it was 3 minutes long and it pretty much wrapped up the last 3 years. He's good. And I met him at the New Zealand Podcasting Summit, and he's just such a sweet man, and he's got a really cool background, and we did this little skit together, him and I, where we interviewed and we're the interviewee. I interviewed him in this particular setup, and the question was, what do you take too seriously? Yep. I've posted it. I have posted it on my social media. I should post it on here too. It was a lot of fun, and I met him, and he was really cool. He's a very earnest, great guy. So go and help him out and have a look at his channel, and he'll give you a real good good overview. I'm only just touching the surface, man, because my brain can only get onto the one thing at a time. With politics, it gets overwhelming. So that was my thing for Sunday. That's what I learned. I've shared it with you. Thank you for watching, and give my video a bit of a like if you can. Subscribe if you like what you see, and have a great night. Matua.